Hello and welcome to Life is a Scale Model. We're doing something a little different this week, as you can see. It's been more or less about 6 months since the channel started. We've had a lot of support from you guys watching us on YouTube and subscribing to the channel and hopefully telling your friends about us. And as a show of appreciation, I just want to put together a short video that gives you guys a little peek behind the curtain, a little behind the scenes action. So we'll take a brief tour of my studio and I'll show you where a lot of the magic happens, and yeah, we'll let you get to know the channel a little bit better and get a little bit better feel for what we're doing behind the camera. So let's go ahead and proceed into my studio. It's a nice space for what I do. Sorry, I'm trying to walk up the stairs and then down the stairs again backwards. And I've been told by my mother I am not a graceful person, so that's definitely playing with fire. As you can see, there's a lot of blue in my studio, and it serves a lot of different purposes. But it also is a trick because, as you can see now, there's also a lot of yellow. And I love it. I chose these colors. It was a choice, and I made it, and I stick by it. But it is a nice color combination that gives me a lot of energy to get into my models and be real productive when I'm in here working, which is kind of what I was going for. And when I'm not feeling too under the weather, as you can see, I also like to do a little working out, but that in and of itself isn't something that's exactly been working out, so I'm gonna have to work on that a little bit better. But anyway, that's the general gist of it. So let's dive into a few details, shall we? Over yonder, we have got my modeling bench. It's a custom built rig, so don't go asking me where I got this lovely beast. I took down some equipment that was originally here in my studio and built this bench completely from scratch out of all the scrap that was left over, with the help of a buddy of mine who's very good at working with wood. We've got our model mat right there to build on. Ideally, it is actually blocked out so that I know where my camera is pointing at any given time. But as you guys have probably already seen before, it doesn't always do the best job helping with that situation. I've got most of my tools situated right there in front of me. I've got my decal solutions and my diamond files and my brushes and my filler putties and my glues and whatnot, just kind of sitting there right within arm's reach so that I don't have to strain too hard to get something that I may need at the time. And anything that didn't actually fit on the little shelf there, I have hanging by magnetic strips on the back of the bench. And that's where I keep like my needle nose pliers and my hobby snippers and my forceps and my clamps and my T-square and a few other odds and ends. Off to our left here, that's where I keep my sandpaper and my decal paper and my leftover decals and just things that I could apply to add a little character to projects if I feel so inclined. And then off to the right here is the start of my paint collection. It's maybe a little too big. Some may say that's not possible, but we've got that stand there, as well as a whole slew of Tamiya paint that I've accumulated over the years. And then over in this corner, we've got some cheapo craft hobby paints that I buy at Walmart when the project isn't that demanding, as well as a whole other rack of more paint that I have accumulated over the years. Most of these are Vallejo. So yeah, if you didn't know what brand I am most happy with using most of the time, it's definitely Vallejo. I've got, it's important to have a lot of light when you're working on models. So I've got 2 lamps right there on either side of my little storage shelf. But in addition, I also use a couple of lights that I bought specifically for lighting when I'm filming. You can see them here. They've got films that I can put on them to filter in color if I feel like it. And they ensure that I can see everything that I need to see in order to get a project done. I gave you a little tease just now, but moving slightly over, we have got my shelving. At the top, I've got various spray paints and primers and various other knickknacks that I need for building, like my paint platform and even some of my cleaning products. But we all know what you're really here to see, and that's the stash. So let's take a brief, possibly cryptic look at the stash. So I've been accumulating my stash for probably about a decade or so. I don't build incredibly fast. In fact, the fact that my output is as steady and quick as it has been since I started the channel, quite frankly, is a little amazing to me. But you can see I've got a whole lot of different subjects, because even though we're starting with a lot of Star Trek, I do plan on eventually moving into other subjects as we get down the line to teach you guys techniques that pertain to those specific subjects and to give you a more well-rounded look at how we can do modeling when we're doing different subjects and whatnot. So I've got some planes, I've got some ships, I've got some Star Trek, and then if we go down to the next shelf, I've got lots of Star Trek, lots of planes, and then if we go even further down, we've got some cars that don't require me to build the engines because I don't enjoy that. But on the bottom shelf, we've got even more Star Trek, as well as some 1144 stuff like the Saturn V rocket. And then I've got a couple of 747s over here. And I've got a tank down here. And we've got way down here on the floor a surprise that we're not going to get to for a while on the channel, but that I am definitely looking forward to building relatively soon, probably within the next year on the channel. In addition to all the model building area that we have, now that I am out of the way, you can see the rest of the studio. I have a lot of distractions in the background. I like to surround myself with things that make me feel calm and chipper, and so I've done exactly that. I do have TVs in here in case watching something while I build floats my fancy, but as I've mentioned before, it's a little hard with my ADD to concentrate on modeling if I'm also trying to concentrate on watching a show. So I tend to shy away from that, and instead I rely primarily on my speakers and my music phone that I've got all of my personal music library loaded on so that I can listen to bespoke curated playlists that might speak to me at any given time. The table is a rather large table. Again, built by myself and somebody I happen to know who's very good at working with carpentry. So again, don't ask where I got it. It was all sweat equity that got that bad boy built. When I'm not filming, we being me and my friends, use this table to play Dungeons and Dragons and various other games. But it's also been built with the intention of eventually using it for filming other content that I want to start putting on other channels that I'm hoping to create in the near future. So stay tuned. Over in my corner where I tend to just exile things is my 3D printer. I got it around Christmas of last year-ish. It's not currently functional, it's close. My producer and I are trying to work out the kinks to get it reliably functional. And then once we do that, I'll start sprinkling in some home-brewed 3D printed stuff. You can't do a 3D printer without a computer. So to run my 3D printer, I've got my trusty Windows 10 HP Pavilion computer. HP Pavilion computer. When it works, I've got my nifty Star Trek The Next Generation mouse pad there. Unfortunately, she's given me a little grief lately, so we're in the middle of doing some surgery and getting her back up and running. But if you want to reach the pinnacle of coolness in the world of life as a scale model, send me some swag when I order models off your website. You can see Cult TV Man Shop and Big Bag Toy Store there. Those are both websites that I like to order from fairly often. I was going to say frequently. I don't order models super frequently, but when I do, and when they're current models that are still in print, those are the sites that I tend to go to buy them. The last place that I want to show is my spray area, because I always try to emphasize, hey, make sure you're spraying in a well-ventilated area. So, true to my word, and not being hypocritical about it, this is my spray area. I've got my tripod for my camera. And then I've got my box to, kind of keep the fumes at a minimum and make sure that the wind doesn't blow away all the paint that I'm trying to spray. And all I did to accomplish this setup was I took a square piece of plywood and set it up on 2 sawhorses. And I find that that setup works relatively well because it allows me to be mobile, and sometimes I have good enough weather that I can actually be outside when I am doing all my spraying, which I enjoy significantly more than being in my garage. The only reason we've been in the garage for the last little while is because it seems like it's rained pretty much every day nonstop since like April. And obviously I can't spray things when it's raining, so go where it's not raining, find a place that also happens to be well ventilated. Garage. But yeah, it's just a brief video today, but hopefully that gives you a pretty insightful look into the basis of operation for life as a scale model. Again, my producer and I really appreciate you guys supporting the channel with your subscriptions and your watches and your likes on the videos. And we're looking forward to being around with you guys for quite some time and passing our knowledge and experience on to you guys to help you maybe improve your own skills a bit. And help us to get to 100 subs before the end of the year, guys. We're the little channel that could, and we're doing all we can for you guys. But we do appreciate you dropping in and watching our videos and giving us your subscription and your time. But that's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoy. If you like this kind of content, leave a comment in the comment section so that we can know that you like this kind of content, and then maybe we'll start making a little bit more so that as a channel we can engage with you guys a bit more. If you have any suggestions or you have any comments that you feel might add to the conversation, feel free to also put those in the comments. And until next time, happy modeling.